The Igwe sat on his ceremonial throne, his mouth open in shock. Prince Nnamdi had gone pale with rage. Izemuo recovered first. The maiden Ola has indicated interest. Are there any others? Silence. Then, by the laws of our ancestors, the match is made. We will fix a date for the marriage rites. The square erupted in confused chatter. Ola turned to Ikem, who stared at her as if she had fallen from the sky, and smiled. That night, Ola found her way to the new hut the village had built for Ikem at the edge of the settlement, where the outcast dwellings clustered. Ikem stood when she entered, his face troubled. "Nwanyoma, I think you have made a terrible mistake." "Why do you say that?" Ola settled herself on the wooden stool, the only furniture beside a sleeping mat. "I am nothing," Ikem said, the words raw. "I was captured in a raid when I was 12 harvests old. I have been a slave for 20 seasons. I know nothing of being a husband, of building a compound, of—" He stopped, his voice thick. "You are the most beautiful woman in this village. Men of wealth and status beg for your hand. And you chose me, an outcast?" "I chose you because I saw your heart," Ola said softly. "Your decision has put us both in danger. The prince wanted you. The Igwe will not accept this." "I know," Ola said, and stood and came to stand before him. "That is why I need you to swear something to me. Swear that no matter what comes, no matter what threats or bribes they offer, you will not step back from this path we are about to walk together. Can you do that?" Ikem looked into her eyes for a long moment. Then he placed his hand over his heart in the gesture of the most sacred oath. "I swear by the river goddess, by the ancestors, by all the gods of our people, I will stand by you. I will not betray you. I will not leave you even if they offer me kingdoms, even if they threaten my life." Ola embraced him then, and Ikem held her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. Outside, the festival drums still beat, but neither of them heard. They stood together in the small hut, two people who had chosen each other against all reason, knowing the storm that was coming. The summons came the next morning. 2 palace guards arrived at Ikem's hut at dawn. "The Igwe commands your presence," they said simply. Ikem followed them to the palace, where the Igwe sat on his throne with Prince Nnamdi standing beside him. "Sit," the Igwe commanded, gesturing to a low stool before the throne. Ikem sat, his face calm. "You have won your freedom," the Igwe began, his tone almost friendly. "You showed great courage and skill. I respect that. But this matter of Ola, you must see that it is impossible." Ikem said nothing, waiting. "My son, the prince, is interested in marrying her. As you know, what the prince wants, he must have. It is the natural order of things. You are a reasonable man. You must understand this." "I understand that you wish me to withdraw my acceptance of her," Ikem said quietly. "Exactly," the Igwe smiled. "And because I am a generous king, I will compensate you for your understanding. Name your price. Land, I will give you 3 plots of good farmland. Yes, I will even lift your outcast status to allow you to own it. Cowries, name the amount. A different wife, I will find you a suitable maiden and pay her bride price myself. My king, I have already sworn an oath. I gave my word to Ola that I would stand by her, that I would not betray her or leave her. I cannot break that oath." Prince Nnamdi stepped forward, his face dark. "You fool! My father is offering you more than an outcast could dream of in 10 lifetimes, and you speak of oaths to a woman? Take what is offered now, or you will lose everything, including your life." "Then that is my fate," Ikem said, "but I will not break my word." The Igwe's expression hardened. "You are dismissed, but hear me well. You have made a dangerous choice. The consequences will be yours to bear." As Ikem walked out of the palace, he could feel their eyes burning into his back. He had just refused the Igwe's offer. In the history of their village, few men had done such a thing and lived to tell of it. That night, Ikem did not sleep in his hut. He had learned many things during his years as a slave, including how to read the intentions of dangerous men. He took his sleeping mat and disappeared into the forest to a place he had discovered during his years of gathering firewood for his masters, a small cave hidden behind a waterfall. As he had suspected, the palace guards came that night. They searched his hut, then the surrounding area, but found nothing. Frustrated, they returned to report their failure to the Igwe. For 7 days, Ikem hid in the forest. Only Ola knew where he was. Each afternoon, she would take her water pot and walk to the river, then slip away into the forest to spend a few precious hours with him. She brought food, news from the village, and her presence, which warmed him more than any fire could. On the 8th day, the Igwe summoned the entire village to the square. The talking drum had beaten out its urgent rhythm since dawn, and by mid-morning, every able-bodied person stood in the square, confused and afraid. The Igwe stood before them, his face grave. Beside him sat a wooden box carved with protective symbols, the village's ofo, the sacred staff of justice that had been passed down from the first Igwe. "People of our village," the Igwe announced, his voice carrying across the crowd, "a great crime has been committed. The outcast Ikem has stolen the ofo from my palace, our most sacred object, the symbol of our ancestors' covenant with the gods. Without it, our village has no protection. The crops could fail, the rains could refuse to fall, the gods could turn their faces from us." Gasps and cries of dismay rose from the crowd. Furthermore, the Igwe continued, out of holding Hun, the woman Ola has been hiding him in the forest, making her an accomplice to this sacrilege. As you all know, the theft of the ofo is punishable by death. Obiageli screamed and fell to her knees. Her neighbors caught her as she swayed, calling her daughter's name. However, the Igwe raised his hand for silence. I am a merciful king. I will offer a reward to whoever finds these criminals and brings them to justice. To that person, I will give a full plot of land within the village with crops already planted and ready for harvest. The pronouncement caused an immediate stir. Land was everything. A plot of land meant security, wealth, status. Men began talking among themselves, already planning their search parties. What no one in the crowd knew was that Ola was not there to hear these accusations. She had gone to the forest that morning to warn Ikem that something was wrong in the village. She had seen the guards gathering, had sensed danger in the air. Within hours, groups of men had fanned out into the forest searching. Ola and Ikem tried to evade them, moving deeper into the wilderness, but there were too many searchers and too few places to hide. By late afternoon, they were cornered near the river by a group of young men eager to claim the Igwe's reward. Outnumbered and exhausted, they were bound and dragged back to the village as the sun set behind the palm trees. The palace cage was a small structure made of thick palm wood, built specifically to hold criminals awaiting judgment. It sat in the courtyard, visible to all who passed, a shameful place that had held thieves, adulterers, and murderers. Now it held Ola and Ikem, their wrists still bound, sitting side by side on the dirt floor as darkness fell. The deep hours of the night, when the guards had grown drowsy at their posts, torchlight approached the cage. The Igwe and Prince Nnamdi stood outside, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. "Ola," the Igwe said softly, almost gently, "I am still willing to show you mercy. My son still wishes to marry you. Accept him now and you will be released. This outcast will be punished for his theft, but you will be safe as the future queen." Ola raised her head. Even dirty and exhausted, her beauty was striking. "I did not help steal anything because nothing was stolen, and I will not marry your son." The Igwe's expression hardened. He turned to Ikem. "You seem like an intelligent man despite your status. I will make you an offer. Tomorrow, in front of the entire village, denounce this woman. Say that you were bewitched by her beauty, that she forced you to steal the Ofo, that you want nothing more to do with her. Do this, and I will give you 10 plots of land and 10 bags of cowries. You will be wealthy beyond any outcast dreams. You will be lifted to freeborn status." Ola's heart seized in her chest. 10 plots of land, 10 bags of cowries. It was a fortune that could transform a man's entire existence. She looked at Ikem, fear suddenly cold in her belly. Would he accept? Ikem was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was clear and firm. No. Ola felt tears spring to her eyes, not of sorrow, but of fierce pride and love. Prince Nnamdi's face contorted with rage. "You fool! You could have had everything." "I have everything," Ikem said quietly, looking at Ola. "I have my word. I have my honor. I have someone who sees me as a man, not a slave. That is more than all the land in the kingdom." The Igwe's expression went cold as death. "Then you have both made your choice. If my son cannot marry Ola, then no one will. Tomorrow you will both face the consequences of your stubbornness. May the gods have mercy on you, for I will not." He turned and walked away, Prince Nnamdi following. Their torchlight faded, leaving Ola and Ikem in darkness. Ola reached for Ikem's bound hands and held them tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For being the man I believed you were." They sat together in the cage, holding each other, waiting for dawn. That same night, the river goddess walked through the dreams of 2 men. In his sleeping chambers, the Igwe tossed and turned as a figure of terrible beauty appeared before him. The river goddess stood taller than any mortal woman, her white wrapper flowing like water itself, her eyes ancient and full of power. "You dare harm my chosen daughter?" Her voice was the sound of waterfalls and floods, gentle and terrible at once. "You dare threaten the one I have marked for greatness? I warn you now, Igwe of this small village. Lay one hand upon Ola or the man she has chosen, and you will know my wrath. The river that gives you life will become your death. I have spoken." The Igwe woke with a gasp, his body covered in cold sweat. In his shrine deep in the forest, Ezemuo jerked awake from the same vision. The river goddess had come to him as well, her message even more dire. "Tell your king to stop this madness, or I will wash this village away like dust. The woman Ola carries my blessing. The man Ikem carries my favor. They are under my protection. Interfere at your peril." At first light, Ezemuo hurried to the palace. He found the Igwe already awake, standing outside, his face drawn. "You had the dream too," Ezemuo said. It was not a question. "It was only a dream," the Igwe said, but his voice lacked conviction. "My king, the river goddess does not speak in dreams unless the matter is of the gravest importance. I strongly advise you to release those 2 and let them be married. The consequences of angering her." "It was a dream," the Igwe shouted. "I will not be frightened by nightmares like a child. I am the Igwe. My word is law in this village, not the threats that come to me in sleep." Ezemuo's face went grave. "Then I wash my hands of this matter, my king. When the goddess's anger falls, let it be known that I counseled against it." He turned and walked away, his ceremonial beads clicking with each step. The Igwe stood alone in the courtyard, staring at the cage where Ola and Ikem waited. For a moment, doubt flickered across his face. Then his jaw set with determination. He would not be ruled by fear. By mid-morning, the entire village had gathered in the square once again. The talking drum had summoned them, and they came with fear in their hearts. 2 summons in 2 days meant something terrible was unfolding. Ola and Ikem were brought out, still bound, and made to stand before the Igwe's throne. Obiageli pushed through the crowd, crying out for her daughter, but the guards held her back. The Igwe stood, and silence fell. "People of our village," the Igwe announced, "these two criminals stand accused of stealing our sacred ofo and desecrating our traditions. The punishment for such sacrilege is death. They will be taken to the Ogugu River and thrown into its depths. This is my judgment." The crowd erupted. The Ogugu River was the deepest, most treacherous river in the region. No one thrown into it had ever survived. Its currents were too strong, its depths too great, and to be thrown in with bound hands and feet was a guaranteed death sentence. "No!" Obiageli screamed, trying to break free from those holding her. "Please, not my daughter. Take me instead." Other voices joined hers, some in protest, some in grief. Even those who had been jealous of Ola were shocked by the harshness of the sentence. Ezemuo stood at the edge of the square, his face set in grim lines. When the Igwe looked at him, the medicine man shook his head slowly and turned away, walking back toward his shrine. He would have no part in this. The guards began to lead Ola and Ikem toward the river. The crowd followed, some weeping, others in stunned silence. It was a procession of the damned. At the Ogugu River, the water churned brown and violent from the previous night's rain upstream. The guards bound Ola and Ikem's ankles together, ensuring they would sink quickly. "Any last words?" one guard asked, his voice uncomfortable. Even hardened warriors felt uneasy about this execution. Ola and Ikem looked at each other. Despite everything, Ola smiled. "I love you," she said simply. "And I you," Ikem replied. The guards lifted them to the edge of the riverbank. Below, the water roared its hunger. "May the gods have mercy," one guard whispered, and they pushed. Ola and Ikem fell through the air together and hit the water with a tremendous splash. The current seized them immediately, pulling them down into the brown depths. Their bound hands found each other, fingers intertwining as the water closed over their heads. Down they sank, the light fading above them. But even as the river should have filled their lungs, even as they should have felt the panic of drowning, a strange peace settled over them both. They held each other's eyes, and the last thing each saw was the face of the one they loved. Then everything went dark. Within an hour of their drowning, the village's sacred river began to recede. It started gradually. Fishermen noticed the water level dropping as they pulled in their nets. Women fetching water found that they had to walk farther down the bank to fill their pots. By midday, the river was half its normal depth. By evening, it was dry. Where water should have flowed, there was only cracked mud and flopping fish gasping their last breaths. The entire length of the sacred river, which had never failed in living memory, which sustained the village and all its crops, was gone. And with the drought came thunder. Great booming cracks split the sky, though no rain fell. Lightning struck the ground in jagged bolts, setting fire to a grain storehouse at the edge of the village. In his palace, the Igwe stared in horror as a lightning bolt struck the great Iroko tree in his courtyard, the tree that had stood for 200 years, the tree under which every Igwe was crowned. It split down the middle with a crack like the world breaking. And then, as he watched, both he and his son clutched at their chests simultaneously. Prince Nnamdi fell first, his eyes wide with shock, his mouth opening and closing like the dying fish in the riverbed. The Igwe followed moments later, collapsing beside his throne. By the time the guards reached them, both were dead. Ezemuo stood in the village square as the terrified people gathered. The thunderstorm raged overhead, but rain still refused to fall. The earth was dry, the river was gone, the king and prince were dead. This is the river goddess's judgment, Ezemuo shouted over the wind. "The Igwe ignored my warnings. He persecuted those under the goddess's protection. The woman Ola was no thief. She was the goddess's chosen daughter. The man Ikem stole nothing. It was all lies to justify their murder." Gasps and cries rose from the crowd. They had suspected the charges were false, but hearing it confirmed made their complicity in the deaths feel even heavier. "We must beg for mercy," someone shouted. "We must pray," another cried. The entire village fell to their knees in the square, crying out to the river goddess, begging forgiveness, pleading for the water to return. Ezemuo led them in prayers and sacrifices. They brought cola nuts, palm wine, chickens, goats, everything they had, and laid them before the dry riverbed. No one went home that night. They stayed in the square, praying, weeping, fearing what the morning would bring. Without the river, the village would die. Their crops would wither. They would have to abandon their ancestral land. Everything would be lost. When Ola opened her eyes, the first thing she saw was the sky, clear and blue and impossibly beautiful. She was lying on soft sand, and the sound of gentle water lapping at the shore filled her ears. She sat up slowly. Beside her, Ikem was stirring, his eyes fluttering open. "We're alive," he said, his voice full of wonder. They were on the bank of the sacred river, not far from where the village women usually fetched water. But something different. The river flowed peacefully here, full and clear, while everywhere else. "My children!" They turned to see the river goddess standing beside them, even more radiant than before, her form seeming to shimmer between human and something beyond human. "You have proven yourselves," she said, her smile warm. "Your love is true. Your courage is real. Your hearts are pure. The village has learned its lesson. Those who pervert justice and harm the innocent will face divine wrath." "What happens now?" Ola asked softly. "Now you go to the village square," the goddess said. "The people are waiting for you there, though they do not know it. Go and receive what was always meant to be yours." "The river," Ikem began, "will return when you reach the square," the goddess finished. "Go now, your new life awaits." Hand in hand, still marveling that they were alive, Ola and Ikem walked toward the village. As they emerged from the path leading to the river, the crowd in the square caught sight of them. A woman screamed, then another, then everyone was shouting at once, pointing, some running toward them, others falling to their knees. "They live!" someone cried. "The goddess has returned them!" Obiageli broke through the crowd and seized her daughter, sobbing uncontrollably. My baby, you're alive!" Ezemuo approached, his eyes wide with amazement and respect. No one had ever survived the Ogugu River, no one. That these two had not only survived, but had returned without a scratch on them could only mean one thing. The medicine man raised his staff high. "People of the village," he shouted, "behold the miracle before you. The river goddess has judged these two and found them worthy. Their survival is proof of her blessing upon them. Let no one question that Ola is the goddess's chosen daughter and Ikem is under her divine protection." The crowd murmured in agreement, many weeping with relief and joy. "Furthermore," Ezemuo continued, his voice taking on a ceremonial tone, "the goddess revealed to me in the night that Ikem is to be the next Igwe. He is chosen by the gods themselves to lead this village into a new era of justice and peace." Ikem's face went blank with shock. I am an outcast. I was a slave. I cannot." "You are who the gods say you are," Ezemuo said firmly, "and they say you are to be king." The village elders, what few remained after the previous Igwe's death, came forward. They looked at Ikem, this former slave, this outcast, this man who had shown more honor than the king they had just lost. If the goddess has chosen him, then we accept her choice. One by one, the villagers began to kneel, even the warriors, even the wealthy men who had once offered bride prices for Ola, even the maidens who had called her witch, all knelt before Ikem and Ola. And as they knelt, the sound of rushing water filled the air. The sacred river was returning, flowing full and clear and life-giving once more.